When something comes up where a product or service is found to have something dangerous associated with it, sometimes the danger is real, but in many cases it's not. Yet fearmongers will incite people to boycott and stop supporting services and buying goods because of one action or another by the providers of said items. Even if it's not as dangerous as it is advertised, there will always be those who believe these are confounding conspiracies. Hello and welcome to Confounding Conspiracies, a place where something is brought to light that many have made quite a fuss over but not bothered with actually researching it. It's in this monthly series where I take a look at something thought of as dark, looking at the history and the science behind the subject, and then present my findings. It may be accepted by some, but not everyone will believe these, which is why I say they're confounding. And for this month, I chose a controversial topic, mainly that of GMOs. What is the history behind this acronym? What science has created something that is still very controversial? What sort of reasonable and likely realities are being ignored, and why are they doing it? I hope you're ready, so put on your tinfoil hat, sit back, relax, and let's get started. The idea for GMOs actually came out of a very specific need. Farmers, those hardworking and underpaid people that feed the world, depend on their crops. It's more than simple gardening, it's a lifestyle, a way to not only provide for their families, but to make sure their crops are healthy. But here's where the point is. Let's say you were a farmer who had 1,000 acres of corn. Unexpectedly, a disease hits a small quarter of your crop. Suddenly, by the nature of the occupation, the crop needs to be thrown out because who knows how far the disease has really gone. So now, because of this disease, the farmer is out of what could be a substantial amount. Now we know this life is adaptive. In fact, that's part of what life is all about, adaptation and change. With this, we know that these things would likely build up a defense against such diseases, but that takes a lot of time. So instead, we try to limit the number of bad crops. Imagine knowing that a disease that was so prevalent last year was almost put in its place and wiped out. And this is where the GMO comes in. The science is actually pretty simple to understand. The geneticist takes a sample of the crop in question and begins to try and figure out how to make it resistant to the said disease. Now this is real science, not something that is dumped in our lap and called such, in that they keep going until they can be certain it is resistant and also safe. It takes a while to do it, and it works. Now, some may wonder why they even bother making these things if the crop itself will eventually grow resistant on its own. The answer is quite simple. As I mentioned before, a farmer's crop basically sustains their entire family and helps to feed everyone, but the results of a lost crop creates an economic vacuum. Imagine someone saying that they can't pay for something you put your heart, soul, mind, and body into, something that you know you have to do, and are suddenly told you won't get anything for your efforts. So in comes this crop seed that is actually resistant to disease. Suddenly the crop is able to be grown without the fear of that particular disease coming in. Not only can it be sold since it is resistant, but it can be sold for a far cheaper price. Who wouldn't want that? Who would be foolish enough to say no to something that is less expensive? There's still controversy surrounding this subject, and it's not a wonder why. Suddenly, organic foods are looking all the better and all the smarter investment, but there's a hidden catch, one that's actually in plain sight. Have you ever wondered why organic foods are so much more expensive? A simple trip to a local organic store will tell you that's the case. Why are they more expensive? Simple. The organic crops are not resistant to the diseases mentioned previously. They don't spray pesticides on them, nor do they use GMOs. So it takes a lot more to grow them, and the low supply versus demand makes them more expensive. want to make it clear that I am in total favor of those who want to go organic. I just don't like being told that I have to. Yet they still call us out against these things. The question comes up, if they aren't as bad as they're made out to be, why? When it comes to GMOs, one name is usually brought up, the name of a company. In fact, it's what we call a megacorp. And then we think of all the stories we're told about how genetically modified humans or animals would react to the rest of us. In fact, it's rare when they're not mentioned in conjunction with this. We're told how the modified humans can either be a good or, in a lot of cases, a bad thing in these stories where someone wants to ensure their unborn baby has as much of a chance as they can afford. Offhand, I can name at least a dozen or so stories like this. There will always be those who tell you of all the negative things about GMOs and such, but the science doesn't lie. It's like they're telling us we should be very wary of things that have GMOs in them without really considering that it's not so bad. Someone will always be ready to stand up and tell us off for buying into a con when they themselves are already buying one. Sometimes people just like to be afraid of things they don't understand. Besides, there are two factors nobody really pays any attention to because we're all hyped up on these horror stories and such. We ignore how much GMOs have already affected us. Many livestock farmers feed their animals GMOs because they're way cheaper. That really has nothing to do with the controversy because it's not us. That and many companies are now labeling their products as GMO in many places around the world. But people still get up in arms about the megacorp, supposedly just doing whatever they felt like in order to sell their products. They don't trust the megacorp to do what's in their best interest, even though every product made by them has a beneficial for us in some way. So it's not really about the science behind GMOs, which is the corp must make sure is safe to use or it's back to the drawing board. It's not about the idea that all natural foods, which I really have no problem with except for the price, are superior. It's about the idea that one company or any type of company can make decisions that will always affect us. It's about a megacorp, a business that operates inside the laws and how they can't be trusted. I could go on, but we would have to get into the real reason these things keep getting added to, and that goes into the political realm, which, as you know,
so that's
I try very hard to stay away from.
I hope this brought a little more light to this topic.
As usual, I suggest doing your own thorough research into the subject, not just relying on my word or the word of anyone else, and give the video a like, put in a comment that's respectful, and subscribe so you can be updated when I put a new video out. And we'll see you all next time.